Hello, my name is George Kelesidis, and I'm from the Particle Technology Laboratory of ETH Zurich. Here, I'm going to talk to you about the determination of the Soot volume fraction in the Santoro flame, accounting for its morphology and composition. The Soot volume fraction is one of the most important properties in combustion modeling, as it is essential to close the Soot mass balance. But this is not a trivial task. As you can see here, the Soot volume fractions obtained from mobility size distribution measurements in a premixed ethylene flame were up to 20 times larger than those derived by combustion models that were published in 2003. Originally, this discrepancy was attributed to assumptions regarding the particle dynamics or reaction kinetics that were made in these models. However, the volume fractions that were obtained from the very same mobility size distribution data were between 2 to 10 times larger than those derived by combustion models that were published last year. This motivated us to quantify the accuracy of Soot volume fractions obtained based on mobility size distribution. So we compared them to Soot volume fractions measured as a function of the height above the burner in a premixed ethylene flame by interfacing an aerosol particle mass analyzer with a differential mobility analyzer. That way, the Soot volume fraction can be obtained from first principles. However, for simplicity, the Soot volume fraction is often obtained from mobility size distribution data only, assuming spheres, and neglecting the agglomerate structure of Soot. This oversimplification results in an overestimation of the Soot volume fraction by a factor of 4. In our recent publication in the Proceedings of the Combustion Institute, we derived this new relation for the estimation of the Soot volume fraction from mobility size distribution data that accounts for the evolving Soot agglomerate structure. The volume fractions that we obtained that way were in excellent agreement with those measured by an aerosol particle mass analyzer, and they could be used to assist combustion models to close the Soot mass balance in premixed flames. In this regard, combustion models cannot close the Soot mass balance in diffusion flames, not even in the well-known diffusion ethylene flame that was introduced originally by Santoro and coworkers. For example, at the centerline of this so-called Santoro flame, the Soot volume fraction obtained from light extinction data was between 8 to 17 times larger than the volume fractions derived by combustion models that were published just earlier this year. Similarly, at the maximum volume fraction path of this flame, the volume fractions obtained from light extinction measurements were up to 2 times larger than those derived by combustion models. This motivated us to look more closely into the derivation of the Soot volume fractions from light extinction data. So we compared them to the Soot volume fraction shown here in the y-axis, measured as a function of the height above the burner at the maximum volume fraction path of the Santoro flame using thermocouple particle densitometry. These measurements do not rely on any assumptions regarding the Soot morphology or composition. However, combustion models are commonly benchmarked using the Soot volume fractions that are derived using light extinction data. Here, the Soot volume fraction is obtained based on the measured absorption coefficient, but also based on the assumed absorption function of Soot that depends on its morphology and composition and evolves as we go up in the flame. However, the Soot volume fraction is commonly obtained using light extinction data, assuming a constant absorption function that has been derived for spheres. And this assumption results in an overestimation of the Soot volume fraction by a factor of 4. And this overestimation is on par with the discrepancy between models and data that I showed you in my previous slide. In fact, we observe a similar trend at the center line of the Santoro flame. Here, the Soot volume fraction obtained from light extinction data, assuming spheres, is up to 2 times larger than the volume fractions obtained based on microscopy images. So this indicates that we need to account for the evolving Soot morphology and composition in order to monitor accurately the Soot volume fraction using light extinction measurements. In order to do this, we used the discrete element model for soot agglomeration and surface growth that I presented you during the previous AAAR meeting. You can find more details about this model in our 2017 publication in the Proceedings of the Combustion Initiative. I would like to remind you here only that this model results in the formation of agglomerates that consist of polydispersed and aggregated, or in other words, chemically bonded primary particles, as you can see in this schematic. So, in order to account for the morphology dynamics of soot in the Santoro flame, we selected simulated agglomerates that have the same number of primary particles as well as diameter with those measured from microscopy images. So, we validated the simulated soot morphology with the gyration diameter that's shown here in the y-axis, measured as a function of the height above the burner, shown in the x-axis here, and the maximum volume fraction part of the Santoro flame using light scattering data provided originally by Puri et al. And more recently by Zhang and Thompson. The gyration diameter, which quantifies the agglomerate size of soot, increases from about 50 nanometers at small heights above the burner up to 300 nanometers at 5 centimeters height above the burner. And then it starts to decrease down to about 150 nanometers. And here you can see the evolution of the soot gyration diameter obtained by our discrete element model. The shaded area that you see over here quantifies the statistical variability of the gyration diameter that is estimated here for multiple simulated agglomerates at a given height above the burner. The evolution of the soot gyration diameter obtained from our discrete element model is in excellent agreement with both light scattering datasets, and this validates the simulated soot morphology. So we used this realistic but simulated soot agglomerates as an input to discrete dipole approximation simulation. Here, we discretize every soot primary particle into an array of effective dipoles, whose electric properties are described by the input mature soot refractive index that we used here. So we solve iteratively the Maxwell's equations for each dipole, and that way we are able to obtain the evolution of the soot absorption function, accounting for its evolving morphology and composition. So we combine this variable absorption function of soot that we derived here with the light extinction data that I presented you before, and they have been obtained at the maximum volume fraction part of the Santoro flame. So here you can see the evolution of the soot volume fraction that we obtained that way. Please notice that the statistical variability of the estimated gyration diameter that I showed you in my previous slide does not affect the estimation of the soot volume fraction here. In fact, the statistical variability of the soot volume fraction that we obtained here for soot agglomerates is at the thickness of the blue solid line. So the soot volume fractions that we obtained, accounting for the realistic agglomerate structure of soot, are much smaller than those obtained from light extinction data, assuming spheres, and they are in excellent agreement with the volume fractions obtained from thermocouple particle densitometry. We can also estimate the evolution of the soot volume fraction at the centerline of the Santoro flame. Here, young soot agglomerates containing organic carbon are formed at small heights above the burner. As we go up in the flame, young soot matures and organic carbon is oxidized. So we derived here the evolution of the soot absorption function, accounting for its evolving morphology and organic carbon content. In order to do this, we interfaced discrete dipole approximation simulations with the refractive index relation that I presented you during the previous AAAR meeting and we recently published in Carbon. So the volume fractions that we obtained by interfacing this variable absorption function with the light extinction dataset that I presented you before are in excellent agreement with the volume fractions that are obtained based on microscopy images. And this confirms that it is essential to account for the evolving soot morphology and composition in order to monitor accurately the soot volume fraction using light extinction measurements. And with this, I would like to come to the conclusions of this work. Here we investigated the dynamics of soot morphology and light absorption in the Santoro plane using discrete element modeling and discrete dipole approximation. The evolution of the soot gyration diameter that we obtained using our discrete element model was in excellent agreement with both light scattering datasets that are available for this plane condition. So this validated the morphology of our simulated soot agglomerates. So we used these realistic structures as an input to discrete dipole approximation simulations to obtain the evolution of the absorption function at the maximum volume fraction path, but also at the center line of the Santoro plane. The volume fractions that we obtained by combining these variable absorption functions with light extinction data were in excellent agreement with the volume fractions obtained by thermocouple particle densitometry as well as with microscopy measurements. Furthermore, we showed that neglecting the realistic soot morphology and composition results in an overestimation of the soot volume fraction up to a factor of 4 at the maximum volume fraction path and up to a factor of 2 at the center line of the Santoro plane. This overestimation is on par with the discrepancy between models and data that I showed you in the beginning of my presentation. So the volume fractions that we derived here, accounting for the evolving soot morphology and composition, could be used to assist combustion models to close the soot mass balance in diffusion planes. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm looking forward to meeting you at the upcoming AAAR meeting.